Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Questionable Perspective Podcast. I'm here with my friend Jeshua.
Hello.
How you, how you doing tonight, sir?
Pretty good, pretty good. How about you, sir?
Doing pretty good. And we are here today to talk about The Boy and the Heron, and we're also going to give our top five animes of 2023, or it may not be the same as yours, but this is just our opinions.
Yep.
So take it with a little grain of salt.
A lot of salt. Some of you people. Never mind.
So I guess
Go
we're
on.
gonna start with The Boy and the Heron, and
Well, and also
uh
don't forget our top five video games of 2023 as well.
oh yeah, that one too. I guess we start with The Boy and the Heron, and this one has actually been kind of controversial with a lot of Miyazaki fans because I can't really speak for yourself, but when I saw the movie, I after we saw the movie, I was kind of like and sat and thought about it for a bit. I'm like, what was he really trying to say in this movie?
Yeah,
And
usually.
that's never been. That's the first time I really like. I just don't know what he was trying to say in this movie.
Yeah, it was a head scratcher for me too. Usually, like the only other time I've ever questioned, and I think it was just because the last film he did before this was The Legends of Earthsea, but I kind of figured that stuff out. But Earthsea is also kind of like mysterious in the message it tries to provide itself from where he sourced that from. If you've ever watched Earthsea or read the series, but yeah, the Boy and the Heron, there it to give a setting, it takes place towards towards the tail end of, or it's like what it's 1940s. See that.
I think it was take place towards the tail end of World War II.
Yes, but there was a major fire that really hit some town. I don't know if he was referencing that or not, but our main character, we're just gonna call him the boy because I don't remember his name off the top of my head. I'm sorry. He they during this fire, his mom like. Oh, by the way, spoilers, just in case. Don't worry. When I put up this video, I will put up tags and everything for everybody. That way, nobody gets upset. But we find our hero here literally rushing to try to get to his mom along with like his dad because this major fire is happening at a hospital she works at, and it's just fire everywhere. Here you go.
Well, mm, let's see what because that was the weirder thing because usually Miyazaki movies kind of have more of a slower pace in the beginning.
Yeah,
The beginning they kind of just throw you right into it. Like his mom dies, and then I think we do what about a 2 year time. What it was a 2 or 3 year time skip.
I believe a 2 year time skip because of that comment on the war continuing.
Yeah, where his father, I'm assuming, is like he's the uh, I guess the CEO of a manufacturing company that does like the canopies for like the planes.
Yep.
And for I thought it was weird, but he remarries, but he remarries his wife's sister, which is his son's aunt, and now they have a child on the way, which is would be his
Have
brother
it.
aunt or brother nephew. But
Yeah,
I guess back in that time, it probably wasn't as weird as we think of it now.
I don't know, talk about keeping it in the family. No, I guess during that time, I mean, and not sidetrack too far. This is just something like studying history and all that. Like during that time, especially when resources were in steep demand and everything, like
Yeah, because
you're trying to keep your resources close. So it's like, all right, my wife died, I'll marry her sister. To us, from a certain perspective, is definitely weird. In that perspective, that might have been the only decision they could have come to at the time. It's like, all right, but I mean, they seemed happy.
Yeah, they seemed like they were happy with each other, and definitely it was like resources are kind of thin because you see that throughout the movie, like with the I guess they're the servants of the house,
Yep.
like the new stepmom brings what sugar and tobacco and all these little things that we would think like well we have in plenty and bountiful, but to them it's like more valuable than gold or money right now because it's just so there's just things are just so hard to come by.
Indeed, because like candied, can't it was like just canned anything was like amazing to have at the time.
And that was it. The movie seems kind of fast paced because like the second they get to the house, the heron is already there trying to talk to him and basically trying to communicate to him. But there's no really a point in time where you have like a breather. Like the movie if I think it's what 2 hours, but it
That's
really
a
didn't feel like it was 2 hours.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing.
Like I guess because everything was moving so fast paced, and the whole thing is that we find well I don't know if we want to get into how what exactly the little building thing is yet.
I mean, we can. It's not going to really matter.
Yeah, well we find out that basically this I guess like a meteorite or something falls to Earth and basically
This
what
dude's
was it his
his
yeah his
great
great uncle
uncle, great
it,
great uncle builds a tower around this meteorite, makes a pact with the meteorite, and creates this ridiculous world
with
inside.
almost like a time nexus because we find out that we find out that his younger the younger version of his mother is actually inside of the meteorite when he goes inside of the tower and he meets her, which at first I wasn't sure, but I was like, I think that's his mom. like before they even revealed it to you, I'm like, I think that's his mom.
Yeah,
And I was like, yep, I was right. But it's kind
because
of weird. It's kind of weird because it's like I guess, like I said, it's like a time nexus. It's like her younger self came into the building, but she's interacting with her future son
yeah,
to basically go on an adventure.
it's weird how they do it. I normally I'm not like complaining about like the storytelling, but the pacing was really weird throughout the movie. It's, like, it'll speed up, then stop. It, I
And
mean,
the motivations don't really stay consistent.
yeah, it's really weird. Best way to put it.
Yeah, because the whole plot with the parrot king and all that stuff like that just kind of comes out of nowhere.
I mean, usually like we use Princess Mononoke, I guess, as I guess peak work for him. When you see the tree spirits coming out, the one dude that I forget his name in Princess Mononoke is carrying take back to the village. He's freaking
Yeah,
out about them, but main characters calm and collect about it because I mean they just represent the tree as very healthy and all that. Then you sort of have that same thing with excuse me, with these like floating creatures. It,
which yeah, oh, you talking
that
about the Komoris or something like
Yeah, but they're fed on by pelicans
yeah,
that were brought into the world by the main character's the boy's great uncle.
yeah, because basically they was the little what state push marshmallow men.
pretty much is
basically
what they were.
are supposed to be like they're supposed to be unborn souls when going to be born when they leave, and the pelicans are eating them.
Because that's the only
And it's
nourishment they can get.
yeah, that's it's like that's what I'm saying. It just doesn't. eh, I'm just like I don't understand what are you trying to? Are you trying to? Is this an abortion issue thing or
I wouldn't dive too deep into that now. I'm going to be honest. It wasn't that. It's just, I think, what's another example? They're just souls that just haven't gone into the world.
yeah?
That's really it.
But in the meantime, our main character basically goes on his, which I'm guessing is supposed to be uh, a story of him kind of growing up and having to learn to let go of his mother, and
Accepting his new
accept.
mother.
Hmm. It's not really. That's what's the weird thing for a Miyazaki movie. It's not really well told. That's just
Yeah,
me pulling at strings on it.
I mean, you're not wrong. It just feels so weird. And because we'll say this, he gets to the point where he gets to her. He's about to save her. He doesn't know how. The kid's just struggling to accept his aunt as his new mother, which I mean, that is very understandable considering the situation. But it's like, how do you? I don't even. It's so weird. It's just weird for Miyazaki's story.
But
That's the best way I can put it.
the main thing I didn't like about it is that it's very uncharacteristic for Miyazaki. One, in the fact that our main his mother, the younger version of his mother, is actually her from is her from the past. So I'm like, wait a minute. So if his mother, if that character died before she went back, then he would have never been born. So it would like you like you really can't put her in any kind of danger because you know she has to go back for him to exist. So it's like one of those things. It's like you're kind of in a catch-22. It's like when they make a character, they try to do prequels with characters, and it's like, well, I know
Well,
you can't put this character in any danger because I know they're still alive 20 years from now.
the best way I could put it is it's a time loop. It's the best way to put it. I mean, if if something did happen to her, that it definitely would have been something. But I mean, because the kid technically has to journey there, nothing happens. But it's
It's a paradox.
it makes my head hurt. Is what it does.
And we find out that the uncle that everyone assumed is has been dead for what I think of what over 100 years.
Something like that. Yeah.
That no, he's still alive and he's playing with these little blocks that he's building, and this is what constructs the world itself, and you have to find a balance with the blocks to build a perfect world. That he was unable to do it from the way he built he used the blocks to build, and the son is like, I'm not gonna use the blocks. I'm gonna do it different.
I'm going back to my own world. I will accept such and such as my mother, and then the world starts crumbling around them. I know we're probably skipping over a lot, but it's just so like. And just a side note: the parakeets eat people. These parakeet people eat humans, which I'm like, what? Excuse me? I'm like, whatever.
This honestly, this is the one Miyazaki movie I like. When I left the theater, I'm like, I don't really want to watch this again.
Yeah, this is the one that's not going into my collection.
Yeah, because I'm like, ugh, I don't know if this. I know this is his return after being gone for 10 years, and he came back, but I guess he felt like he had something more to say. But
Yeah, he didn't want to stay retired. That was the thing.
I'm like, if this is your return film, I'm like, I don't know, Miyazaki. You might need to stay retired.
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
It's like
I'm
I don't want to put this DVD in the rest of my collection because the fact that it's to me it's so bad it might infect all the other Miyazaki stuff.
like it. It doesn't affect me, but it's like, I mean, I know his storytelling, but it's like this just doesn't fit the mold that. I mean, I'm not telling him to anybody how to do their stuff, but I mean, each movie he's done, like, very different from the last. Like Porco Rosso, for Christ's sake, we pilot from Italy that gets cursed like a pig because he was just a pig to women. He was literally just being a pig to women. But I mean, it was the he was saved towards the end after some girl or a young Italian girl saved it. It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, it's just um when me when Miyazaki when I hear Miyazaki, I'm thinking Spirited Away. I'm thinking Castle in the Sky, Howl's Moving Castle, Kiki's Delivery Service, stuff like that. I'm like, this is like so far left from those films. And maybe he was trying to do something different from what he normally does.
Probably
So
so.
maybe if I just really sat down and rewatched it maybe once or twice more, maybe I could kind of figure it out. But he's kind of even with those movies, like there's an underlying message to him. He's not very much in your face, kind of very blunt with the message, but they all have like an underlying message or either environment or female empowerment or basically learning trust and love, stuff like that.
And it
This
just
one I just find it hard to find the silver lining in it.
I mean, I'll give it a fair score as a 6 out of 10, but I just don't see myself grasping at this.
Nah, well, we're about around the same because I gave it pretty much a 5.5, and that's hard for me for a Miyazaki movie because I honestly tell you like I love Miyazaki movies right now because I still got to collect a few more of them. Probably two Miyazaki films that I love the most are always been Kiki's Delivery Service and Princess Mononoke. Like I
Uh,
could rewatch those two like over and over again.
Princess Mononoke and Nazca from the Valley of the Wind,
Yeah, that one too.
with close behind Porco Rosso.
Now, I haven't seen Earthsea, and I probably might watch it over the Christmas break.
It's a good watch, but
That and his other movie, Grave of the Fireflies.
I don't think he did that one. Let me double check that. I don't
I
think that
think
was
I
him.
don't think he might not have did that. I think it might have just been a Ghibli movie.
Uh this was. I'm looking. I'm looking. That's not. The director was Izu Takahati. I think I messed that up, but he's. Let's see what else he's done. He did the. He's done some other stuff. This dude's old. Damn, he's born in 1935. Oh, he passed away in 2018. Damn. Yeah, but Ghibli is not the.
Hmm. I don't know why. I remember somebody saying that was part of the Ghibli family.
I. It may look like it is, but it's not.
Mm. Well, so you want to move on to our top five anime or top five video games?
I say let us do video games. Actually, no, let's do the anime since we're still on anime.
All right. Hmm. You want me to start, or you want to start off?
You go ahead and start, my good sir.
Well, this one was. I'm gonna say it pretty much. No, number five one is gonna be the first half of Witch from Mercury, and the only reason I would put the first half on there because honestly, when I went back and re-looked at rewatched first half of it, the first season of Witch from Mercury is probably the closest to a perfect Gundam season as you can get from just the way they're starting to build the characters, the battles, kind of how they're setting everything up, and just the ending alone definitely made it pretty much made it a would have been a top probably the number one series for me this year. But that second half is what really kills Witch from Mercury. Just how
But
rushed it was, how basically they just completely destroyed their own characters. Uh, but I say that first season is probably close to perfect as you can get with a Gundam series.
yeah, agreed.
Are we going one by one? Or do you want me to just
I
keep
just go
going?
down your whole list, my good sir.
All right, number four would be Relife. This is a series basically where we have a businessman who is basically kind of falling on hard times because the woman he loved and the woman he secretly loved ends up unaliving herself because of pressure from their jobs, and he feels like he had an opportunity to stand up for it, and he didn't. So basically, this secret group comes to him and say, "We will give you this pill that will basically de-age you, so you can go back to high school." And technically, they sending him back to high school for him to kind of learn those assertive lessons and kind of change his fate. But they tell him that not only will you change your fate, you might be able to change someone else's fate. And the big thing about that, we don't know at the time that not only is he in real life, the woman who unalived herself did real life as well. So she is actually, unbeknownst to him, the one of the girls in his classroom who he ends up once again to fall in love with and basically changing her fate as well as her changing his own. And it's a really good 2 season series. It's not actually because me most so this year I've been more on the romance side of things, more so than the action. But if you get a chance to, you'll want to watch this series. It's really good, and they're real life. That's my number four. My number three will be my love story with Yamada Kun at level 99, 999. I don't know
The
if you've ever seen
hell?
this one.
No, I have not. There have been too many. Sounds like a damn isekai, and it probably is.
Basically, basically it's another love story one. Uh, basically not Sword Art Online, but they're playing like an MMO. This girl gets dumped by her boyfriend, who basically got her into the game, and he leaves her for another girl who also plays the game. And one of her guild mates is Yamada, who is basically a socially awkward, distant, kind of shut in kind of guy. But in order for her to try to make her boyfriend jealous, she goes to this big event that the game is having, and Yamada just happens to be there, and she pretends that he's her boyfriend, and he basically pretends to be her boyfriend for some elites. I think it was some gear that was very high level that she had. So he did it for that right there to get the high level gear.
My
But
man.
but throughout that, you basically heard them kind of building their relationship and her kind of bringing him out of his shell and getting him to open up more and be more sociable with people and herself, which I believe is only I think it's 12 to 13 episodes. It is kind of a slog because the episodes do kind of feel longer than what they are. But if you're that type of person that into those kind of I didn't really like romance comedy. I wouldn't even say that. It has comedy elements, but it still kind of really focuses on those two. Where the comedy is left for the side characters, but it's definitely worth checking out. It's only 13 episodes, so it's not really a long series. And I think we might have this. Well, we might not have the same one at number one, but my number two is probably something that came out of nowhere, which is Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead,
God, I love that series.
which is kind of sad because from what I've learned, that basically the show is on hiatus, indefinite hiatus. So there's no telling when we might get to finish this season, the first season.
84
But here's
years later.
well, basically what because it's a young businessman. He's super peppy. He's got all this spirit. He thinks getting into the workplace, it's gonna be great. He's gonna make change and do all that stuff. And basically, he starts adulting, basically, and lets his job pretty much break him mentally and almost physically. His boss is a jerk who's constantly just riding him the whole time to the point where he was about to basically just unalive himself. When
I'm
we
sorry.
find when
I'm sorry to
hmm?
interrupt, but during that show, I think it's the first episode, people are like, how much unpaid overtime they've been putting in. I'm just sitting here, I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. Continue, continue. I just couldn't help but comment on that one part.
Yeah. And right before he does it, basically that's when he basically finds out that the world is basically the world is turned into zombies. And he's just decided I no longer he's more excited about the fact that he no longer has to go to has to go to work
What kind of work
anymore.
do
And
you
now he can do everything he wants to do. He's got a bucket list of over 100 things that he wants to do before he's turned into a zombie. And one of those things that we see in the first episode is he runs to the girl, the woman that he's had a crush on for forever, only to find that she's a zombie with I'm assuming it was his boss, I think.
Yep. That was the main head honcho of the office.
Yeah, and basically it's just all these wacky adventures he have of him trying to do his bucket list, which he picks up two more companions along the way. His best friend, who is basically he's basically in the same boat as him. He's in a job that he really hates. He wants to be a comedian, but basically he's forced into being like a salary man, and
No,
he can't stand it. He hates it.
no, bro, he's a host.
I think it was a salary man.
No, he's a host. He makes money.
Yeah, but he didn't. He doesn't really want to do it though.
Right.
Like I know he was like he wants to be a comedian, and so once he finally decides to just do the same thing and basically just let loose. He dyes his hair blonde. He runs around butt naked. The first episode,
Oh my God. He got.
uh, like it like this series is hilarious. I want it's my number two, even though it's kind of like a hesitant number two because of the fact that it's going on indefinite hiatus. So we don't know when it'll be finished, but I guess if you really like those episodes, you can pick up the mangas. Cause I'm assuming the manga is still going.
Oh yes, it is.
So yeah, you can just pick up the manga and just keep reading from where the episode leave off. But that would definitely be my number two, and my number one, which is one. Actually, I think it's one you had told me about. Was it is Freyren Beyond Journey's End?
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it, but I think you had told me about it. And once I started watching it, I'm like, oh, this is really sad.
Kind of
The first
hits.
couple of episodes make you really sad because she's basically she's an elf. So if you know fantasy, elves have almost they're almost immortal. They live for super long lives, and all her companions are either one dwarf and two normal humans. And literally, the first couple of episodes are sad because you basically watch her, the people that she knows and she loves, she's been traveling with for 10 years, and then you just see them wither away and get old and die. The priest is like, I guess he has cancer or something. He's dying, and she stays with him for 5 years trying to figure out a text. But basically, he tricks her into staying for
I
five
would
years so she could teach the younger girl.
pretty much because he doesn't want to die, so he's having her decipher some um tome to maybe get an extra few years in his life.
Yeah, because the only one I think by the time I think the only one that still was alive was the dwarf because dwarves have long lifespans as well. Not as long as elves, but they have long lifespans.
Several centuries, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and it's just like, and she's almost like she has emotions, but she feels like 50 years or 10 years is not enough for her to get to know these people. Like she had so much time to get to know them, and she really didn't. And she kind of deals with her own what's name immortality almost because she's watching all her friends that she care about die, and then
Like 10 years is a
she
blink of an eye for her.
yeah, because she's like 1,000 years old.
I don't think she's that. I think she's like 200 or something.
Because
I
when she gets to the fight at the end when she fights the demon chick, she tells her like, yeah, it would take me a long time. It's a good thing I've been suppressing my mana for the last 1,000 years.
ah yeah, you're right. Good lord.
Which is, trust me, this is probably what I would say is the number one series of this year. Because you feel you even though you don't get to know these characters for a long period of time, you really feel for them when you see them after the 50-year time skip, and like the warrior who was all tall and strong and sweet. When you meet him again, he's bald
Bro,
and
he's
just
half his
short,
height. He's half his height. He's shrunk. Damn, he's
and
shrunk.
he's just like, I just want to go on one more adventure. I've lived this long only to go to this spot to watch this was the sunrise or was it the moon? I can't remember.
It was a meteor
I think
shower.
yeah, to watch this meteor shower that comes along once every 50 years. And he basically was like, I lived long enough to see this again, so now I'm happy. And with that, he passes away. And then she starts to realize that basically, like, the human lives are so finite, and it starts to kind of emotionally hit her that she's not as connected to them as she may have wanted to be, and
Mm-hmm.
now it's too late. But that would be my list, sir. Why don't you
All
take us
right.
down yours?
All right. All right. Starting at number 5. This is just a new season for the Ancient Magnus Bride, season 2. Really enjoyed it. Second season started airing this year. Really enjoyed it. It's a series I don't want to divulge too much on because it's one of those fantasy romances you need to watch to really get because it has some crazy concepts that I didn't think I would see in some animes. But to give a perspective, like the first season, the Magnus, this girl, she's a redhead. She has green eyes. She's I forget what the term is, but she is gifted with a bunch of mana, and she's selling herself off in this auction, this magical auction. And the Magus, comes in and buys her, basically for her to become his bride. It's a really weird because the Magus doesn't really he's learning how to feel and all that. But he's a creature that's gifted in just magic in general. He was created. You really got to watch it. I don't think I could explain it enough to give it justice. But that's number 5. I'll give you all an honorable mention, by the way. And it was Zom 100 because it didn't finish. I was like, I couldn't put it on the list. I was so upset. I wanted to. Uh, but anyways, number 4, it's Baki. No, it's season 4 for Baki, basically. Where, I mean, minor spoilers, Baki finally beats his dad. But before that, it's they meshed 2 seasons into one. They just discover Pickle, who is a caveman. I think is like an early descendant of the Hama bloodline, and like uh, Baki has to fight him, and it's just a nutty martial arts anime. If any of y'all know what Baki the Grappler is or Baki Hanmon, you already know where I'm going
Mm-hmm.
with this. But I
You
mean,
left out the
Pickle.
most important part.
But I mean, you get towards the end where Baki does beat his dad. It is such a weird way it's done too. But his dad, like, I don't want to give it away, but I mean, saying what I said was enough. But it's just such a good show, and the way they animated it, Baki's like up there with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure to me, where you the right company. You have to find the right company to adapt the art style of the mangaka, like Dave Production did for JoJo, and it's just the same thing for Baki. Because I mean, you see how like ridiculously like buff they are, and some of the stupid stunts they do.
Muscles in place. You really can't get muscles.
No, actually, you would be surprised, but there is a foundation of realness there. It's just some is exaggerated to hell and back. Like a 19-year-old shouldn't be like 7 feet tall or something like that, and be like head of the yakuza. But I mean, there are a lot of cool characters. Probably one of my most favorite characters is what is his name? He's the karate master that has the eye patch
Oh,
and the tiger style.
Dopo.
Yeah, love him. But all right, that's enough on Baki. All right, number 3,
Scenes
Onimusha.
kind of got inspired.
I think he may have inspired the god. Well, it's been a minute. But number 3, Onimusha. Capcom had a 3D anime done. Highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. Or there are several ways to view it, but I don't want to get too deep into it. But you know what Onimusha is from Capcom? It's like
Mm-hmm.
a demon slaying um, in feudal
Samurai.
Japan. Also in feudal Japan. Usually the villain would be like Nobunaga Oda being the demon king, but I'm not going to say too much at it being this go round, so definitely worth the watch. Highly recommend it. Now for number 1 is for Freyna. Beyond Journey's End. It's number 1. And I think you described it to a T, Mr. Chris. There's not much else I could really say except that the relationship that Freyna and her apprentice build up over the years
Years.
together are hilarious. But what's also hilarious is how developed she gets over the years. It's like I was like,
Cause the only,
oh,
cause the
oh,
only reason she really trains her is because the one scene where she thinks that she's basically very weak, and she shows her like, like she's a
ish.
lot more powerful than I thought she was.
Yeah, that one blast sheet that almost reached the rock. I was like, whoa, that's nuts.
I do like her character because I feel like she plays like the what's the character? She kind of plays like the silly fool. I'm so carefree and stuff until she gets into combat. And then when she gets into combat, she completely flips on a dime and she is deadly serious.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's that's I think that's pretty much a lot of people gonna be on a lot of people's top gonna be in a lot of people's top five because it's probably the best series that came out this year.
yeah. I can't really see anything that really outdoes it this year because it just
Well,
kind of
well,
came out of left field.
most people would say Vinland Saga season two.
Vinland's good, but it didn't have like the impact like this was. I was really trying to look for something new. I wanted my list to be all new, but you didn't really
Because
have
it,
it.
because it really makes you think like, what would it be like to literally live that long?
Bro, I would be bored. I would be so bored. I would learn how to play the banjo, polka, make
It's kind of like
clogs.
I think like Invincible season one when Omni Man's talking to him and he's trying to explain to him like he's a Viltrumite. He's like, "Do you have any idea how long we live? Like the older we get, the slower we age. Like we don't really get attached to people because we know like he's like all your friends, your mom, everyone you care about will be dead and gone. This planet will be blown to dust before you even look 30." And you
Who
really
will
have to
you
think
have
about that.
then? Who will you have then? I'll have you, Dad. I'll have you.
Yeah, but it really makes you think about something like how would it be to live that long and know that you won't even age really that fast? It seemed like I think the show does a good job of kind of showing you that yeah, she's lived for a long period of time, and you can see that she's very detached from people.
Yeah, that's one of the sad things about her character.
Yeah, but it's understandable because from her point of view, it's like because she's starting to realize like human lives are very finite. Like I'm gonna outlive pretty much even her new apprentice. She's gonna outlive her, and I hate to see. I think she'll understand better by the time her apprentice is older. But I hope that the manga actually takes time to really just stretch that out and doesn't really try to rush through it to get her to another apprentice or another person. I think with this one, she's supposed to, like she's gonna take her time to really get to know the two characters, her two apprentices.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how they take on season two. I'm definitely gonna pick up the manga.
Yeah, I definitely want to pick that manga up and start reading it. The go ahead of the series because most likely if it's probably gonna get a season two, but it's probably gonna be either late next year or maybe going into 2025, early 2025.
Maybe we'll see. It's really hard to say.
All right, so let's hit the video games.
And you start us off, sir.
If I say my number five is gonna be Super Mario Wonder, and I know a lot of people are gonna say, "Well, why is that number five?" Because when I have Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and I've played it. The game is not really it's not really a challenging game. Depending on there's a few stages that are hard, but for the vast majority of it, it's really a, a family game. So you could a lot of the stages are really super easy to get through. It's like you're not even gonna be on a level for maybe more than a few minutes before you're off that level. But it is fun. You can connect up to I think what is 5 or 6 people,
I believe
and
so.
you can play all these different characters. That's probably what make the game a lot better. But if you're just playing it solo, it's like it's not really hard for you to just kind of run through the levels. Like right now, I'm sitting on about 40 extra men. It's like it's just It's still a
That's
fun game, but it's not a game of the year type game.
that's a lot of nuts.
Because they make it so easy to get extra lives and get coins and stuff like that. So it's like, it's hard to just die in this game. You got to start over again. If you die in this game and have to start all the way over again, you're just terrible at this. You're just terrible at games. Let's see. And I would say number four is probably going to be. I would have to say number four is Resident Evil 4 remake.
That's fair. It's a great remake.
Yeah, like I said, they took everything that you liked about the original Resident Evil 4 and they just said, okay, well, we're going to take that and we're going to turn it up to 11. There's some parts of it that I don't like because I don't like the breakable weapon mechanic they put in. And I know they put it in to make it more difficult. I didn't think Resident Evil 4 needed to be more difficult than it is because a lot of times that knife is the only thing you got. And I'm like, okay, I don't really need but the one weapon I have to be breaking. But they do add a lot more to it. I think they kind of taken it a little different directions from the original one. Graphically, it looks better. Pretty much story wise, it's better. Some people argue with me about that and say no, it's not, but I think it is. But that's what I would probably put my number four. It would be that one. Now number three, I'm still kind of iffy on because I haven't played it, but I've seen pretty much all the stuff going on around it. My co-host has been playing it like it was crazy when it came out, which is Armored Core 6.
Oh, so you did play it?
No, I said I watched you play it, which made me want to play it.
Side note, there's a multiplayer update coming out tomorrow, which I found out today.
Yeah, I think it's adding some more mix and stuff.
Yeah, it's adding a full new set, some new pieces too.
But just basically the way I like the way the game doesn't really hold your hand too much. Like it gives you the basic tutorial, and then once you get through the basic tutorial, okay, now fight the boss,
So good
and
luck.
it kind of just lets you go. I prefer games like that that don't really hold your hand and just basically baby you through the first couple of levels. But I'm definitely gonna pick it up so I can fully go through it myself because I want to play and build my own little mech. Now this one, number two and number one, I kind of been going back and forth with it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna have to say Spider-Man 2 is my number two.
That's
I
fair.
know what you're saying. Why is it number two?
I'm not
I
arguing.
I know other people might be saying that like it's the best game. It's the best cinematic game of this year. I'll tell you that much because I've been playing this game and the way they shoehorn Miles Morales into this game. And I mean, there's points in this game where you're trying to do stuff where you're just all of a sudden you're trying to break up a crime. You swing down. As soon as you hit the first guy, all of a sudden Miles just comes out of nowhere. Now you're tag teaming, but it's not all the time. It's just sometimes. And then the fact that they try to do everything they can to take Peter out the game and put Miles in, where Miles has more power sets, he has more missions, he has like specifically Miles specific missions that you can only do with him. It's just like that. It felt like every time I'm trying to play a Spider-Man game. Okay, not a Miles Morales game. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. I know everybody has a problem with that. Peter Parker is Spider Man. I want to play a Spider Man game, and there's way too many cinematics in this game when you're just playing and the you basically the boss battles. The lizard. I just did the lizard boss battle yesterday, and it was like, why am I still doing this? This thing is it's like this. They're extending this fight scene basically to extend the length of the game because you literally have to go through three fights in in two chases with him to finally get him basically to take this antidote. it gets to a point in time where it's like, okay, man, enough is enough. This has been going on way too long. And I know everybody's like, it's the best game, but it's to me, it's number two. Is and I hate the fact that they're gonna try to replace Peter in this next game because the devs has already come out and said that the next game is gonna be a Miles Morales game, a straight Miles Morales game for Spider-Man 3. I don't know how well that's gonna work, but we will see. And my number one game this year, which pretty much is on a redemption arc, which is Street Fighter 6. And why is it my number one game? Because as you know, sir, Street Fighter 5 was not really that well received to the point where it almost killed Capcom.
I wouldn't say that. That was an understatement. The DLC definitely saved that damn game.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't say that. That game pretty much single-handedly almost killed the FGC because it drove so many people away from fighting games, or at least from Street Fighter. And then for Street Fighter 6 to come out and basically Capcom to basically do a complete 180 and basically just say we're sorry for Street Fighter 5. And it's just like they said, y'all want story mode? We're gonna give you an interactive story mode. We're gonna give you creative characters. We're gonna give y'all these little mini games. We're gonna give you avatar battles. We're gonna give you all these little creative, like extra battle modes. So you can do all this stuff. You don't even have to touch rank. You don't have to touch rank. You don't have to touch casuals. If you just want to go into the battle hub, you can play old retro Capcom games. You can fight with avatars. You can just be in there with your friends emoting. You can just there's just so much to do in that game, and the fact that they're continuing to add content to the game, just more and more content, pricey content, but content nonetheless.
I mean,
I had to put them number one just because of that their redemption.
damn Ninja Turtle costumes being
$15 a piece.
that was just for that. That was for the creative character avatars though. So
Yeah, but that like I said, that game is like it has so much to do, even for casual players who don't really care about rank and don't really care about fighting like that. There's so much more for them to do, which is why even when you look at Twitch, the Twitch numbers, like Street Fighter constantly has the highest number between all the fighting games. MK, Tekken, uh, was the only one that surprised me more than that has been Grand Blue Fantasy Rising, which if you saw Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, you know Grand Blue Fantasy Versus on Twitch, the Twitch numbers, you were barely getting 20 people. I remember when I looked at it last night, I think it was at 1,500 watching Grand Blue Fantasy Rising. And I'm like, that's good right there. That's what I want to see. But Street Fighter pretty much has been, to me, Street Fighter is the game that's pretty much set the tone and kind of reinvigorated the FGC, and that basically brought a lot of more people back to fighting games. But only time will tell on it.
yeah, it it will. Well, I mean, it's fine. It'll be fine. People have been adapting and all that. Stupid me. I don't know what urged me to do this. My stupidity, I guess. But I'm playing in this stupid. It's not stupid. I'm stupid for doing it though, because why not? I entered in the. It's the Fight Club exhibition that's done by the. Oh God, what are these guys' names? The Untamed Gaming. I'm jumping into the exhibition tomorrow, so since I didn't get to go to DreamHack, so this is like, all right, well, let's do this, and hopefully not die.
Who you playing against?
I don't know. I'm just going to show up and wherever, just go wherever I'm told. That's it, and pray and hope I don't die.
I know I'm gonna take it. I know probably starting next year, I'm starting making trips up to 404.
I definitely need to make a trip up there just because I want to go eat that Japanese restaurant that's in that center if it's still there. I'm praying hope it is. That place is so good. I
Oh,
hadn't had it.
I'm pretty sure it's still there.
And plus, I want to check out H Mart too because I want to see if I want to buy some groceries on there.
I don't know what H Mart is.
Think like a very big Japanese store. You can just buy stuff from. I would say a very big Asian market.
Oh, okay.
Best way for me to
Yeah.
describe it.
Okay. It's probably like where you get like them Rudolph flavored energy drinks and stuff.
You can pick those up at Fye.
No, I don't shop at FYE like they're way too expensive.
Yeah, they overpriced, or you can order it offline.
But they did get me a nice bleach Ichigo statue.
Oh, good, good.
All right, so you tell us what your top five for this year are.
All right, let's get this embarrassment out of the way. All right, my top five. We're gonna start with number five, Exo Primal. Great, fun co-op game. And I know probably you're gonna be like, why are you picking an online co-op shooter slash hero shooter or whatever? It's because one, I have been wanting to see new IPs from some of my favorite developers, and Capcom delivered on that, which I'm happy about. That I'm just like, I want like new entries in certain uh games, like Dragon's Dogma 2. Happy. New Monster Hunter coming out, which is fine. I knew that was coming anyways. I want to see a new Mega Man game. It doesn't have to be a big one, it could be a small one, Capcom. Just make the Mega Man fans happy. That's all I'm saying. But Exo Primal, it really takes the kind of the old concept of what Dino Crisis was. Okay, I mean, not exactly, but it survived the dinosaurs in cool mech suits. It has
Mm,
a
that's,
it has a
yeah,
fun
it's definitely
storyline.
fun.
It has a fun storyline to it. I just don't like the way you have to learn about it, which is like, hey, you have to go to this other side menu to go watch all the videos. I'm like, why don't you just have it play? Like everybody's like first playthrough, just I mean, your first playthrough, you generically go through this story or whatever. Then after that, it's just whatever. Uh, Most of the stuff you can earn in game, and I mean, I've been playing it through the battle pass. I haven't bought it, but if I do buy it, it's just going to be online, a digital download. This is one of those games I'm not going to waste my time getting a physical copy with. But that's number five. Highly recommend it. Want something to play with your friends? Go for it. All right, number four, Remnant 2. And this is, I would say, is a sleeper hit of this year because it is a no one playthrough is the same because everything is randomly generated differently for people. Like I tried one playthrough and I kind of got stuck because of the way my build was. So I'm like, okay, let me go restart this, and it was a lot better just because of the class I chose in the beginning. But there are so many cool guns, mods, rings, amulets you put together. You get two different classes together. There are secret classes you can find. I'll give a hint at one was the summoner one I stumbled upon, which allows you to sacrifice a little bit of your life to summon some little minions or whatever. The more you upgrade the class, the bigger the summons you get. And but I tell you that
Yeah,
story, it's a pretty nutty story too.
cause it looks like it had like a. That's the one that looked like it's kind of like an old west.
That's the gunslinger class you can get. There are several different classes. There's the handler, the medic. The handler has the dog you can start off with, which is the class I recommend people start off with in case you play alone. That way you have a dog with you and it'll attack enemies and all that. But I did try out the new DLC. It's great. All right. Now on to number 3, Street Fighter 6. Yes, I know it's not my number 1. That's the crazy thing, isn't it?
Not
Uh,
really. It's been a lot of pretty good games that came out this year.
but it's Street Fighter 6. I'm happy with it. I I I just could not click with 5 whatsoever. I don't know what it was. I tried and I tried and I just could not click with it. I think it's just the way it was designed. I just didn't click with Street Fighter 6. Riders Rain, baby. I'm playing JP, and I was going to play Luke, but I was like, you know what? Let me play someone different for a little bit. I mean, hell, I was playing like DJ for like 2 weeks, Dawson for 2 weeks. Dawson made my hands hurt. That's a first. That is a first. Doing
Yeah,
a
you
lot
gotta do a
of
lot of
there's a
gotta do
lot
a
of
lot of
half
work with
circles.
him.
There's a lot of half circles. Not quarter circles is half circles. And but the minor gripe is it's the way some of the DLC's been priced, but whatever. That's stuff I don't have to have. I just excuse me. It's
Oh,
just
no.
it's just no big deal to me. I'm not gonna cry over like the outfit threes being almost like $6 a piece. I spent I think it was $11 and I bought JP's and I had enough to buy another one, so I said screw it, I'll buy DJ's because I really liked it. So because I'll probably go back to DJ at some point. But I mean, highly recommend it. If you never played Street Fighter, got great single player content for you to unlock all the colors and everything. It's not as time consuming as people think it is. If you just look up how to grind it, that's what I did. Um, the battle hub is amazing. The battle hub is where you take your custom avatar, you can fight in the center of all these arcade machines or play against people. The netcode is phenomenal. It's the best I've played in quite some time. Which reminds me, I do need to try out Samurai Showdown, but that's on another topic for another time. And I mean, then you have just your standard third option of like where ranked offline matches are all in that. I highly recommend it. They're Capcom really put a lot of love into this, which thank God they did. Because if they didn't, this would have been the end for Street Fighter, I think. But on to number 2 now. This would have been my number 1 if something. I did play this other number 1 first, or well, play number 1 earlier this month. But number 2, Armored Core 6. You have no idea how long I have waited for a sequel for this series. FromSoft making all the Souls games. I'm like some of them. I don't like some of them. I love Elden Ring. I do. I truly do. Dark Souls 3, love it. I had a bad experience. Dark Souls 1, Demon Souls, I love. Dark Souls 1, I tried playing the 360 version of it, and that was a bad port. But anyways, Armored Core 6. I mean, the game's first boss is a filter. It's like if you can't figure out how to use the map to your advantage and all that, you probably shouldn't play the game. And I'm not trying to be mean. That's just how it is. This is from the people that made Dark Souls and all that, but they originally made the Armored Core series before like all the Dark Souls stuff. So you're talking about I've played tough games in the past, and some of the older Armored Cores were not forgiving as like Armored Core 6. But this game, it has like a stun meter, I think, from Sekiro, and it's like a stamina bar, but and that's a stun bar. Once it maxes out, you're stunned for a bit. People can do extra damage to you. The multiplayer, for what I've played on the Xbox, anyways, I haven't played the PC side yet. Multiplayer is pretty solid. Japan is always hosting tournaments for this game. There is there's a great online scene for this, just like Street Fighter and all that. Highly recommend it if just for the if you love mech games. You want a high paced competitive mech game, Armored Core 6. Now on to my number one, and that is Lethal Company. This game, I I have not had this so much fun. Just laughing with friends in a while, playing a online co-op game. The way this game was only $10. Came out on let's see, what was it? December? No, I say it was December. No, it was released in October. But the basically the premise of the game is you're join this company. There's four people together. There's proximity chat, and it's the proximity chat is amazing. Like the way how far you are and how close you are, the way it detects and echoes. But you go to these moons to collect scrap. You have to make the quota within like 3 days. The quota gets higher and higher. I think the max amount of days you can actually survive is 40 days. I think that's the highest you can go. And that's like getting like the high end stuff. But you have walkie talkies in case you're not within close of each other. You have flashlights that last a certain time. All the planets you go to have facilities that are abandoned but have monsters in them. You have to avoid the monsters to get the stuff. There, I'll give you a standard monster. There is a spider. There is a giant spider. It, the art style for this game, nothing too crazy. It's pretty simple as far as like an art style goes. I think like Jet Set Radio is the best thing I could think of off the top of my head, but not as colorful. But there's what this is the one side thing I'll find funny. They're in the settings. There's for accessibility. A lot of games have accessibility. There's one for arachnophobia. I clicked it. I mean, I'm not really scared of spiders like I used to be. So I'm like, okay. I see a spider. There's spider webs. You touch the web, it slows you down and alerts the spiders, like how spiders work in real life. I see a text box that just says spider trying to attack me, and I beat it with a shovel. I'm not kidding. That's if you click on the accessibility for arachnophobia, that's what it is. You just have a text box that says spider. And I just don't know what to say to that. But me and a couple of friends were playing this game. We did the stupid thing, or well, they did something stupid. We two of them. We go to this one place. All right, there's a spider. It's his first time playing. It's like my second or my first time playing it too. But I understood because I've watched so many people play this game before I started playing it. Yeah, he tries to take on the spider, dies. I was like, he and his friend that was a bit more experienced tries, ends up dying to a spider. I was like, okay. So I collect some stuff and get out of there. We go to another planet. It's I think you can fall off stuff if you're not careful. His friend dies, so it's just me and the buddy and this one monster. It's called the Bracken or the Flower Man is what they call it. It's some weird names. If you know what back rooms are, I'll try not to spoil this too much, but this thing likes to play a keep away game for you, cat and mouse. It likes to snap your neck. I just know you look at it for like 4 seconds, it makes it go away. You stare at it too long, its eyes glows red and comes at you, snaps your neck. So I'm like, yeah, it's stupid. It and the sound design of this game is amazing. I'm telling you, I've never been more impressed with the game. It's just me and my friend. The Bracken's like 2 rooms over. I was like, all right, let's just sneak around him because we see him, he's going off in the distance, nothing crazy. We crouch, going. My friend's talking, and then I hear a sudden noise. This is the noise I heard. Tell me if you hear this.
Mm-hmm.
It was something like that, but I think it was quicker snap. I heard that. I just went, oh shit. It just hightailed it. I ran. As soon as I heard the next snap. It's like I'm gone. We lost that one. We lost that quota. The game is fun, but it's hard to collect certain things. But I probably rambled on too much about it. But seriously,
Is
Lethal
it
Company,
Dark Souls or Elden Ring? Elden Ring hard?
it can be. It can be. But once you collect enough scrap, you have to go back to the company, give it to get your money. There's a bell you ring a couple of times. If you ring it too many times, there's a giant tentacle monster that'll come out and kill you. I'm not kidding. Like it's tough. It can be. Uh, but there's stuff you can buy, like equipment and all that, make things a bit easier. But there are some monsters that are stupidly fast. I don't want to get into too much more detail about some of the monsters, but if you get it, it's only $10, dude. We'll play it.
Not a bad price for a game.
It's a great price. It outsold Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3.
Alright, that's not
That's
hard.
no, that's not hard for anything, but it outsold a lot of things.
Mm. Yeah, well, we could probably talk about the price increase one day
Oh,
in
definitely.
games.
Well, for now, folks, that's it for 2023. We'll catch you on January 2024.
Yep. Hopefully, we'll get some more good. Well, Tekken 8's right around the corner.
And a new Like a Dragon. But other than that, folks, Mr.
The Gun
Chris,
and Seed movie,
yep.
which I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Oh, indeed. But all right, Mr. Chris, everybody else, y'all have a wonderful night.
Yep. Everybody be safe. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
Enjoy the New Year's.